Should I go ahead, Libby?
Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. Once again, welcome back to our weekly workshop. And this week, once again, Sanchit will discuss on the corporate and about some photography-related products. So, over to Sanchit. Warm welcome to our group.
Thank you, Levin. Thank you so much. Good evening, friends. This week we're talking about Corbett. And Corbett, as anybody would know, anybody who's a wildlife photographer, anybody who's a wildlife photographer, who knows about India would know about Jim Corbett. You all know it was the first national park that was made as a tiger reserve. So anybody who's ever been to any national park in India, who has been for a wildlife tour to India, will hear about Corbett National Park. I will not get into the history of Corbett. Corbett used to be known as Haley National Park, but then became Corbett National Park. Corbett National Park is very unique. It has its own iconic spots for being recognized as Corbett's Cape. It is called the land of the wide angle. It is known for its elephant sightings, actually, even more than tiger sightings, because of the corridor between India and Nepal. The image that I'm starting with, it's an image of these burnt trees that have been standing there for years. Anyone who has been to Corbett would know about this. So if anybody says he has been to Corbett and doesn't recognize these trees, he doesn't know Corbett. So this is an iconic photo. So I wanted to present this photo as a first photo. I'm going to be talking about a little bit about the habitat, the location, and more of the elephants, tigers, otters, some birding, and some martens. So it's going to be more of the elephants, because generally for elephants, everyone goes to Africa. Very few people actually come for elephants to India. Although elephants are everywhere in India, in north, they are in south, they are in east. But generally for elephant photography, everyone ends up in Africa. So I wanted you guys to fall in love with India again for elephants. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Could you just raise your hand, Libin?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yes.
The Jim Corbett National Park, it's in Uttarakhand, which is on the north, not the east, but mostly in the north of Delhi. It's very close to the Nepal border. It's very easily accessible from New Delhi. In 6 hours you are there, or 4 hours you are there, and then a little bit of the off-roading, but that's about it. Very close to Delhi. It takes about 4 to 6 hours depending on the season that you go in, because in winters there's a lot of fog, so it takes longer. But there's a detour from Moradabad and you end up in Ramnagar. And there are 3 main areas where people generally go. I've circled them in the lower map. It's in Dikala, Jirna, and Bijrani. The most picturesque is the Dikala zone, because it is right on top of the Ramganga reservoir. So you get a really good backdrop of Ramganga reservoir. Bijrani are basically more for tigers. Dikala is more for elephants and also for tigers. There's a picture of Jim Corbett, or a bust of Jim Corbett, to honor him when you enter Dikala. Dikala is a main zone that everyone goes to stay inside the forest for up to 3 days. That's the maximum they allow these days for you to stay inside. Then you can go stay in Bijrani or Jirna if you want to extend your trip. It's a typical morning in when you leave Dikala Forest Rest House. The early morning sunrise, the hues of the horizon, with the darkness of the wildlife and the land. This is the first sight you will ever see every morning when you come out of a house. This will be in your memory when you leave. You will never forget this site. It happens to everyone. This is the Ramganga River. This is the land I was telling you, Dikala Forest Rest House. Just opposite to that is the reservoir and the Ramganga River. This is the backwater in a way. The dam is to the left of this. So generally in winters there's more water because in summer they release the water. So this is the backdrop of the Nainital, and if you've heard of Nainital, this is Nainital is behind all this in the backdrop. It's a Pallas fish eagle just looking at its habitat. I just want to capture the entire scape. This is looking out from the grassland. There's a huge grassland around Corbett. And this is the reason because there's grassland, there's water, the elephants come down here in summer. A typical morning in Dikala. Dikala, again, I'll speak more about Dikala because that's the main zone there. You will have, a great reflection of the horizon on the water with the mist in the backdrop. You will end up, the first cup of tea will be at this location. You wait here, look for calls, listen to calls. It's a great stop. Another typical scene in Dikala is there's mist. There is still water droplets on the elephant grass. Sound of a elephant passing through this elephant grass. Another typical scene that you will witness if you go to Corbett in winter. There is also a great time to go to Corbett, which is between June 1st and June 15th when the monsoon just sets in. The colors of the sky because of the monsoon clouds. It's amazing. You will get amazing scapes when you go there in the monsoon. This is a typical mock charge from a Dikala Corbett elephant. This is a typical mock charge, and only an expert can tell you it's a mock charge. Because if you look at the tusk of the male elephant, you can see they are really small. So he's just a sub-adult, just learning to charge. And most of the elephants that charge during summer are migratory elephants because the residents are very much used to the tourist. He was just practicing his mock charge. And I shot this at a focal length of 400 mm, so he was quite far. He was just practicing charging. So it is a little controversial, but that just shows you who's an expert or not. So this is typical charge by a Dikala elephant. This is the most famous tigress. She has just passed away a couple of years ago, called Sharmili from Bijrani zone. She enthralled the tourists for over 10 years, or a decade. She was known as Sharmili because she was the shyest of the litter, but then dominated her zone. And most of the Corbett resorts, Corbett tourists, photographers can thank her for making a livelihood because she was not shy at all. She will walk with you for kilometers. She will show you her cubs. She will show you her stalking, her fight, her hunting, everything. This is the first tigress I also saw in Dikala about 13 years ago. Sorry, in Bijrani for 13 years ago. She's a very well recognized tigress because here you don't have to look at the stripes or her face. She had very unique set of eyes. Her eyes were like sparkling all the time. Her eyes were large compared to any other tiger. So we could just recognize her by her eyes. So she was the legend. She was like what a Machli of Ranthambore is. This is the last picture I have of Sharmili about 3 years ago. Her daughters were giving her a hard time being in her area, so we hardly got a glimpse. She was used to getting fights all the time. So we, realized that she might not be living another season. So she passed away after that. Sharmili was would, this is the first cub she ever had, and I was the only photographer there in my Jeep, and we were just sitting with her, and she made that sound more like to call her cub, and we saw this little 2 to 3 month old cub running towards her. So it was an amazing sight. Bijrani, as I told you, is known for tiger sightings. So it was an amazing sight to see the first cub of Sharmili. This is in 2012. She gave crazy sightings. She would bring her cub right next to us. She mated with almost some of these male tigers. There are some of her brothers and sisters. This is all the tigers I've seen in one zone. And this is a very small zone, but it had a lot of traffic. I won't go into every detail of every tiger, but a couple of these tigers, like the one on the extreme left, this is a very okay shot. It's not a great shot, but this tiger was a huge tiger. If you see his neck girth, it's a huge tiger. A lot of buffer tigers are bigger or aggressive than the normal core zone tigers because they have to deal with villagers as well as they are on domestic cattle. So they have a different attitude than the core tigers. Some of these tigers were at one time poached. There was a bad 1 year during my visits that 5 of these tigers disappeared. So there are some conservation issues at that time, but now they have improved. Sharmili also had a litter where he had 4 surviving tigers, and they gave all kinds of sightings. I mean, though it's a man-made water hole, but still to see 5 tigers in the wild roaming around, it was not an easy sight in Corbett. Corbett was never known for tiger sightings. A lot of my friends, when they used to visit, they say, you can't see a tiger in Corbett. And this is just to show you that when you have a favorable chance, there are a lot of tigers in Corbett to see. A typical tiger sighting in Corbett is known as a Tarai tiger. Tarai means like a swampy grassland. So this is exactly how generally a tiger is seen in Corbett, moving between the grass. So everyone's adrenaline is pumping, everyone wants it to come on the road or in open, and most of the times it will just move in the grass and that's all you will see. This is a grassland, or as in Hindi called Tarai tiger. This kind of tiger is all the way from the state of Uttarakhand all the way to Kaziranga. This is exactly the Tarai. So all the sightings of tigers generally are like this. Now I'll take you to Dikala. Dikala is again a wildlife photographer, a nature photographer's paradise. You will get all kinds of settings, all kinds of colors. You have the thick grasslands, you will have tall trees, you will have water, you will have blue backgrounds, pink clouds, golden light, everything you can have there. So there's a lot of open space, and I think for any wildlife photographer, you do need open space to get good images. I'll start with the elephants. I take a lot of ultra wide angle and wide angle shots. My point is to show more of the habitat than the portrait, although I can show the portraits as well, but it kind of gives a bigger perspective. Like here, although I'm shooting this with a 15 mm, I'm right next to the elephant. I just wanted to show the horizon to show that even the biggest of the animals is tiny in this whole world. So every picture I try to do as in wide angle, I try to show some kind of message. If you go to any big hotel or restaurant, they will have these 2 welcoming statues of elephants with their trunks up. So when you drive into the forest road to go to the forest rest house, it was a nice gesture to see one time that the welcome was given to me by a trunk being raised up by an elephant. So I thought that was cute. I enjoyed it. In the evening, you will see a lot of elephants as a herd get together. They are dusting, they are playing around. They are quite at ease. It's good to see when they are at ease. It's good to see that they are in their natural habitat. Setting sun was, adding a little bit of pink to the dust, so I enjoyed this shot. A typical morning shot is basically, the skies are, just clearing out, and there's less water if you see now. This is a summer shot because the water has been released by the reservoir. So the elephants are very close to the Ramganga river because every morning and evening they have to come to the water. This is a typical elephant scenario in one part of Dikala. So it's a good opening where you can actually park your car on a high bank, and you can take good photographs of of elephant movement. Then comes the herd. You can see the herd moving all the way from your forest rest house room. And by the time you get ready and you are in your jeep and you come down to the spot I showed you in the previous slide, these elephants will be walking from the same exact spot where you saw them early morning outside your forest rest house all the way till the water, of Ramganga. So it's good to see big herds. You can see all their focus is straight towards the water. None of them are looking our way. They're all looking the same way. I call this picture water is gold. You can see I try to get all of them equidistant. Try to raise the color temperature and try to make a silhouette out of it, just to send a message that water is precious. A lot of these elephants will display dusting in front of you. You just have to be prepared. You have to be keeping the right shutter speed to get probably more of a slow shutter speed. So you try to be in the right position to catch them in dust. You try to get creative. You want to get reflections. You want to get them, bathing. So I try to do, a reflection shot. As I told you earlier, they were very calmly playing, and dusting. In the previous picture, when you all saw them, sometimes they get agitated and they start, running. I was also on an elephant back, so I think maybe they got a little scared and they ran. So the light was opposite, so that highlighted the dust around me. Again, this is a habitat shot of, Dikala. Dikala has, on the left, a lot of forest, right, a lot of water. So these elephants come out of the forest towards every evening. And I thought it was interesting because the way the clouds covered the sun, it looked like a world map. So I thought, it's something different from normal behind the cloud sun's rays. So I enjoyed the shot more on the clouds and even the habitat. In June, as I told you, it's a pre-monsoon. There's a lot of rainfall, and the elephants welcome the rain. They start, enjoying playing. This was just a playful shot by an elephant just enjoying itself in the rain. You get a lot of these silhouettes with the dusting. You just have to play with your camera and get a good dusting shot. It's very common, but it's some of the things that you want to do. I enjoyed this picture because it's like going to a wedding party. They are all dressed up in their garlands. So I thought that was interesting to see how they have their, the foliage wrapped around their bodies. So I call this a very short. Another hazy summer morning when the sun is just about at 9 o'clock, getting really, harsh, and it's getting hot, and it's also a mating time for the elephants. So they are sizing each other, whether they want to mate or not. So we'll see what happens. Later on, when the haze clears up, then she's telling him that, back off, I'm not interested. He didn't listen, and he basically started mating, but it's very rare to get the mating in water. Generally, you see the mating all over, but in water, you hardly see the mating. So it was more You see them dusting, standing, sitting, but lying on one side was very different. So I thought it was interesting to see them, dusting, while lying on one side. All kinds of shots you will get. You get them, in water, lying in water, playing in water. So you just have to spend some time and you will definitely get something different. Different turn of heads. In India, we call it like the Ashoka pillar. So I thought it was more like, the heads are on different sides. So it was interesting to see. There is one question by Chandran Kant Naik. Yeah, Sharmili died. Yes, she's dead. She's passed away. Then golden light in the grassland. When you come out of your forest rest house, this is the shot after the mist has cleared. This is when haze has cleared, and then this is golden light. It's a typical scene in Dikala grasslands of Corbett. These are the same trees that I showed you, that burnt trees in the first slide. These are the same trees. The trees are more on the right.
Sanjit, I think we lost you. Okay. Hold on.
Yeah, Levin, I will WhatsApp it.
Yeah, just WhatsApp.
Okay. Nandakumar sir, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he joined.
Have you guys seen this slide?
The previous one.
Previous one. Okay. This one you saw?
No. Yeah. This is a.
So many times you'll see them standing, or sitting and dusting, but very rarely you'll see them on their side and dusting. So I just thought it was a rare scene to see dusting on the side, lying next to the water. So you will see different habitats, different motions, different positions. I like this because you could get, like in Ashoka pillar, you could get them moving in three directions. So little different. Morning golden light, it's a common feature there as well. It's just how big a herd you see. So you wonder, how big a herd you want to see. And luckily there was a good herd. These are the burnt trees on the side, the same trees you saw on the first slide. A trunk shake, when they bumped their trunks, the little dust poofed up. So I thought it was interesting. You see them play fighting, you see them having the water. It's an evening scene, light is on them, different shades of the trees, of the elephants, different colors, although the same elephant, but just wet and dry are different. This was a very emotional for me to watch, because when it was lightning and there was thunder, the mother ran and put its trunk on top of the calf's head just to give it reassurance. So I enjoyed this. And she kept it there for a while. They do play fight a lot when they're growing up. You can just tell they are young. So it's a typical Dikala shot. There's a thing called pink of the morning. They enjoy, water, obviously. if you are there in the right time before the sun, or the sun rays become golden, there is a few minutes when it's pink. So I thought it'd be interesting to get a little bit of pink. And there's reflection of the water. It's also pink. It's not golden. So that's a little window that you have. Another wide angle shot, big tusker, just dusting itself. You can see the dust is flying all the way, particles are flying all the way to the left of the screen. I've used a graduated neutral density filter on this just to get different colors and get it slightly in the slow motion. This is again an evening where they're just mock charging, mock fighting each other. You will get a lot of these silhouettes. It's easy to get these kind of shots. Just have to have the presence of mind. When you're going back to your forest rest house, it's a typical scene. You'll see one lone tusker just going towards the water. Just seeing these wild animals carefree in their habitat is always nice. This is this I call my local Amboseli because it's called Little Moon on Top. It's not Kilimanjaro, but this is how good it gets in Cobbett. So I just thought it was, in contrast to what Amboseli has, this is what we get. Again, a wide angle shot. It's with just showing the horizon and the contrast to the elephant and the tree. If you see, the message is that even if the elephant is one of the largest animals, in front of a tree, it's a very small creature, and in front of the world, the horizon, it's very small as well. So the message is that nothing is too big in life. You just have to be decent in the world. Again, as I showed you the mock charge with the one elephant, there were two elephants, they were brothers, they were just coming back and forth, mock charging and just going back, mock charging. It was fun to see all that. This is again also a mock charge. We don't try to harass any animal or anything. Sometimes you just get stuck in a situation. An elephant with a very intense look. It was dusting, and the dust was just lying on his temples and slowly falling off. I enjoyed how you can just stare at this image and you can feel your own emotions. This is a real charge. You can tell by the intensity in its body language, its ears, its eyes. It's basically a lactating female mother with the calf. So this is definitely a charge. This is by a 400 mm lens, so it's not really that close, it just looks close. Again, golden light in the evenings, the elephants are playing. There's all kinds of different frames you can get. And the typical scene you'll see is, the elephant with the backdrop of the Dikala Forest Guest House. If you see small buildings you can see in the back, that's exactly where you stay. Another reflection shot in the mud. You just have to be creative and think what you like. Not everyone has the same taste, so you keep experimenting. Just different moods and behaviors of elephants. What you like to capture. Sometimes you like to capture wide angle, sometimes you want it close. In pre-monsoon, monsoon, you get to be in a heavy shower and you see how they behave with their young ones. So the young one is trying to squeeze under the female, to protect it from the rain. So it does get very heavy sometimes in June as far as rainfall is concerned. Just to show you how the monsoon clouds are, it's in June. It's a typical, scene in Dikala. The mountains in the back are the Nainital Hills. Nainital is where you must have heard of Pangod and Sattal bird photography. That's all behind these mountains. So that's very close. Just another silhouette, just getting a sambar deer and the elephant. Very typical in the evenings to get silhouettes over there. You get a full river on one end with the sun against you. So if you just are patient, you will get a lot of silhouettes. Sometimes they do get very close. They're very comfortable. You can tell a difference between a resident and a migratory elephant. This is a resident elephant from that area. If it just comes out of the bushes and is right next to you, you can see it's not perturbed. It's just walking right next to you. There's no issues with it. Sometimes you can get very low angle also. Basically, the point of this is that it's very low, it's quite a low angle for me. There are some rolling roads where you can go high or low and try your luck how you want the shot to be. Another very iconic area is called the Samba Road of Dikala. Basically, this is the road that goes on for a couple of kilometers, and a lot of tigers and elephants cross left to right or right to left on this road. And sometimes you get good, behavior shots. Sometimes you get charges. Sometimes you get, them sitting and be surprised. This is just a elephant walking towards you. Then you get in monsoon, because very few people show up in monsoon. Early monsoon, you get a lot of people, wanting these kind of shots, but because it's always raining, not many people go at that time. But if you are able to go in the pre-monsoon, you will get the whole family right next to you, all wet and playing with mud and their behavior. A lot of them will be also dusting before they play, depending on the time of the day. They also dust before they go inside the forest because they don't want all the insects and the bugs to trouble them. So they all dust before they go back into the forest. All shapes and sizes. So, just walking towards you, all of them are different size. A lot of these small families will be around you. Another typical theme that you will find in Dikala will be when the sun is rising behind the Nainital Hills, the mountains. The elephants have just walked in from the grasslands to have some water before they go inside the forest. Because there is more shade in the forest, so they all go into the trees, the sal trees. But my point was to get the blue of the horizon with the golden light, because to get such an ultra wide angle, you really have to work your angle right and be at the right time. Again, more behavior shot. I mean, they are just playing the young tuskers.
Again, we lost him.
Again,
Playing in mud. Sometimes you go to the grassland and try to be creative by trying black and white. All kinds of perspective you can have, what you enjoy. You like to make a little window out of a scene. That's what you do. Winter is very hazy sometimes. It's 0 degrees. They still get into the water. You feel that the elephant have very sensitive skin, as we are told, but they still get into water and they love the young suckling grass and they enjoy themselves, even though there's mist rising from the water, but they're still enjoying all that. Again, you enjoy being creative. You get them in some position where you enjoy them just the face, or you enjoy when you can be creative by playing it upside down and have the elephants walking in a sequence. This is this main Dikala road. The illusion is the jeep is very small compared to the elephant, but is actually a bit far. But that's typical elephant coming at you on the main road. As the elephants move away, the tiger is watching them. So now I shall talk a little bit about the tigers of Corbett or Dikala. Generally, they say in Corbett, it's very hard to see a tiger. I would say that you just have to have your eyes open, and you need to be with the right either a tour operator or a guide and a driver to know exactly what's going on. If you see you can see the tiger is there, but for a naked eye you won't know. So you have to be with the right team to be able to see him. Now, if you have patience and you wait, the same image you can see there are two tigers popping out. So the same tigers are there, but people miss everything. This is the very famous tigress from Corbett called Parvali. She has been giving sightings since 2013 and 14 start. She's very open about her sightings in the sense that she will lie in the water. She will, show her hunt scenes. She will show her cubs. She has been in the news for a few years now, and a lot of tiger frames with the habitat. She is responsible for that. This is initial 2014 when she first started coming out of the swimming pool and walking towards a guest. And every evening there's golden light at this water hole. So the reflection that goes onto her face and the water is amazing. It's all gold. So it's a very typical shot of Parvali, but for the last few years it has not been happening because the water in the water hole is less. Another very famous tigress from Dikala. If you see, this is the same water hole, but early morning compared to the late evening. So you can see how the color of the water will change according to the time of the day. Another very famous tigress, Thandi Ma from Dikala. If you see the size of the tigers, they're quite, even the female tigers, the size is quite big. The right tigers are quite big anyways. I think it's probably because of the higher altitude. This is the grassland tiger and the tigress, another very bold female. So 3-4 very bold females are there. You just have to be lucky that you're on the right day at the right time. A shy female, she basically charged after the sighting. In an area called the Palms. She's conflicting with some other tigresses in the same area. So this area has very agitated tigers. A typical scene in Corbett, when you know it's a Corbett habitat, is the white rocks and the elephant grass behind you and the hazy mountains at the end. When you see this image, you know right away that this is an image from Corbett. Another very iconic image is you have the grasslands in the back and you have the Samba Road leading into Thandi Road. So this is Thandi Road with the grasslands in the back. Once in a while there'll be rainfall even during summers. And there'll be a water hole, and because of scarcity of water, if you wait around this area, you will get a tiger in a similar setting. These are all typical scenes of Corbett. If you have been to Corbett or you want to go to Corbett, there are certain places. This is the high bank looking down towards Champion. You will see a tiger coming down from the left, from the other side of Dikala towards this side. Here, this just had her head up looking at the crocodile because it wasn't sure whether, what it was till it put its head up. So I thought it was interesting to see the expression of the neck going up. Again, very typical Corbett backdrop and habitat, the white rocks the vast white rocks. You might have white rocks in other northeast parks also, or even in some part of Rajaji. But this abundance of these white rocks is very common. Again, Ramganga River. Earlier, it used to be that you couldn't get a tiger in Ramganga because there was a lot of foliage next to the road. They cleared a couple of high banks for you to, photograph the tiger. And thanks to Parvali, we are able to now, get the tiger in the water as a checklist or a bucket list. This is a unprocessed image of a typical morning setting in Dikala. This is winter. Every morning will be like this. There will be mist, there will be wet grass, and if you're lucky, you'll just see a tiger zipping left to right. So this is the unprocessed image of a typical setting of a Dikala winter. The salt trees of the Dikala habitat and the white roads from the white sand and the rocks. Again, if you see this, the closest thing that comes to this is probably Kanha, but still the Kanha, the roads are not as wide. So just the width of the road and the height of the trees tells you that it is Corbett. These are all typical scenes in Corbett of the iconic roads and the habitat. This is the iconic Sambor Road. There are times when you will get a family on that road. You maintain safe distance. They are quite cooperative. A typical scene with a Parvali tigress in the evenings in summer. She will walk the road and then go down the river and then go to her other end of the jungle. She does let you get close, but you have to maintain a safe distance because that's the norm. But she will help you pose wide angle shots. Many Tarai tigers, they're known for their stalking poses. There is a Tarai tiger just in a Pagdandi, which they made as a small fire line. And we were just passing it by, and my eye just fell on this tiger on the right. And it was waiting there for these deer to show up from the left to the right. But I guess we caught her before she caught the deer. The enjoyable part is that it was evening time, just about the closer of the safari time. So the blue in the back, that really helped make this picture more lively. Again, the summer Parvali shots are amazing. She will give you all kinds of head-on tiger shots. It's always fun when you see the tiger coming from a bend and walking right towards you. She will walk for miles. Ultra wide angle shot again of the Corbett habitat with the rocks and the little grassland and the mountain, and a tiger moving from the left to the right. This is after rain. There is another part called Gharal of Corbett. It's in Dikala zone as well. The terrain changes in Dikala, in Gharal especially. A seasoned Corbett photographer will know when the size of the boulders or the rocks increases, you have moved on to Gharal. The water here is more murky and the rocks are bigger. Sightings are more difficult, but when they happen, it's very open, so you always get a good sighting. There are many forest rest houses in Corbett. These are all actually forest rest houses that were made by the Britishers. But now obviously they are being used for wildlife monitoring as well. This road leads to a very famous forest rest house called Kanda. It was always a pleasure to find a tiger walking down from Kanda forest rest house towards you. So it's a famous road that again is an iconic part of Corbett. Again, this is Champion Road, just to show you, how the tiger just swims even if the water is level is high. It's going to cross left to right. Another pink morning, just to show you in the winter how the mist builds up. There's mist on the water, there's mist between the grassland, and there's a shade of pink from, before the sun gets strong. Winter coat of a corbett tiger. This is actually a female, but if you see how the winter coat has taken up, I mean, they look really lively in the winter in corbett. Sometimes it's quite icy, windy, cold temperature, so you can go down to -1, -2 sometimes. There are many marijuana fields, wild marijuana growing all over the place. We always joke about how the tigers, they are hanging around the marijuana fields. There's a couple of cubs of parwali hanging around the marijuana fields. I try to get the blue, the brown, the greens, and the oranges in one frame. It's a typical marijuana tiger. I'm sorry to say, but that's how it is. Try to get as detailed as I could. Very disciplined family. They're all walking at the same distance. This is just to show you how the distance is and how the habitat of corbett is at harsh light. This is all harsh light. Tigers move all time of the day. There's no morning, evening anymore. Same tigers who was stalking in the end got frustrated and started walking towards us, and we realized we have to move now. So there's a sinister look of a tiger when it's just about sunset. Tigers, they give many poses, many different kinds of hues, backgrounds, the head turns. Parwali had the first litter that got killed by a suspicious, they say somebody says leopard, somebody says jackals. So there was a second litter. This time she only had one cub. And many times when we are in going to corbett, when Jicalo opens on November 15th, we reach November 14th night. We want to go on the first thing in the morning there, because sometimes you catch them because they had become relaxed because they know safari jeeps. So you catch them sometimes in unnatural circumstances. So that helps. This is just she's teaching her young one to cross the Ramganga River. She gives really good poses. She gives poses at level of photography that not many tigers give. Here you can see I'm nearly at the same level as she is, although I'm lying on the bed of the jeep. But still, I mean, not many tigers give you these kind of look. I enjoy this because it's got all these deflections, with the waves coming out of her walking towards you. So I just enjoyed it because of the different reflections. In the evenings, you do get golden light. Generally, the tiger moves from left to right, but sometimes it moves perpendicular to you. And at that time, the light reflects right onto the body of the animal. So you're able to get a mix of golden water, blue water, and shining tiger. You try to do a lot of low angle shots. You want to go on, below the level just to get it at eye level. You just have to be creative, be in the right spot. It's a playing field. It's a huge park, so there's a lot of different opportunities you get. It's not very narrow and small narrow roads where you can't really photograph tiger for more than a few seconds when they go left to right. It typically happens in many parks. Here you have a lot of open space to get good pictures. Again, just a head turn, but I like the way the light was falling all over it. Sometimes the same tiger will look very thin. Sometimes the same tiger will look very, hefty. This is summer, so all the coat has, worn off, and she's on her last piece of hair so that she can breathe properly and respire properly in the summer heat. They love water. Tigers all love water. Parvati loves being in water. She will look you in the eye. She will give you poses. It's a photographer's dream. She can get very close sometimes. She will give you narrow angles, wide angles, close angles, different types of a day. You can see a tiger is very wet. You know how you see the hair? You can see a tiger is very wet. It just come out of water. Sometimes you catch them in their typical, slumber bed. You see them, just stretching and lying and just, relaxing. They all love to scratch. Just to show you that, how they love to scratch. Again, love water. They are always, enjoying water, especially in the summers. This one has just come out of water. You can see how the hair is still dry all the way. These tigers can give a lot of headshots. Different expression, different poses, different spots. Sometimes just come out of the jungle like you were not expecting it. You hear all these alarm calls, and next thing you know, the tiger is coming out. This one got really badly injured in a fight with another tigress, and that happened before the summer ended, the season ended. And when the winter season came in, there's a 3 to 4 months break from June 15 till November 15 in Dikala. At that time, we were hoping for this tiger to be alive. And next thing we know, she does a head-on walk in front of us, and we were able to get a close-up shot of the face. You can see all the scars on her face were just healing. Again, you can get a lot of silhouettes of tigers also. This is the tiger going back towards its grassland. Generally, we call it the end of the season shot. There are other cats also. There's a jungle cat, leopard. So there are quite a few cats out there. You just have to make few visits. You have to be patient with the right team, and that really helps you in a good setting. Levin, can I just interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I'll just take a 1 second break here.
Yeah.
The birds. But you have to know what you want to do. Are you a mammal photographer? Are you a bird photographer? Do you go just for the habitat, to enjoy the jungle? Even if you are a bird photographer, you will get a good mammal opportunities too, but then your perspective for what you want changes. I shoot whatever comes in my way, although I would admit that mammals do mean a lot more because you are able to get them in good habitat. And most of these birds are also they're in Pangot and Sattal. So you want to have a checklist for a Himalayan species, then you end up in Sattal or Pangot. But you do get a lot of birding in Corbett as well. This is a common green magpie, in a golden light on a winter morning. Eagle owl had just decapitated a jungle fowl and taken it off, and there was a magpie just landing right in front of us. We wanted to go shoot the eagle owl with the head of the jungle fowl, but then the light was so good that we stayed back and we wanted to watch what it did. Then we started picking on the jungle fowl, and we thought that was an interesting shot. This is a brownfish owl with a dollar bird. Very rarely you will see a dollar bird caught up like this by a fowl. This happened right next to our jeep. There were a few, it was very dark, and there were a few dark looking birds next to us. We couldn't even recognize it was so dark. Next thing we see a fish owl, just pick up one of them and go perch next to us. This is at ISO 6400. It was quite dark. So I guess the fish owl, the darkness worked even better. So they grabbed a dollar bird. So we call it a fistful of dollars. There's a lot of green canopy as well around Corbett. There's the spot-bedded eagle owl. It's a juvenile one. I like this shot because of the way the light was falling on the bird. there is typical area for a getting these kind of shots. If you again have a good team, they will let you know. I have a question. How many times have you visited Corbett? I have been, this is by Amaravani, I have been to Corbett for the last 14 years. I've been going for at least 6 to 7 days. So I don't know. It could be, if you put it all together, I've been in Corbett as part of my life as 3 years. Recently, they have made it mandatory that you can only go for 3 days. Earlier, it used to be that you could go for 6 days, 7 days. More time you spend, better shots you get. There is no question about it. But again, the right team, you can still do a lot more. How many days package is okay for Corbett? Is November to December a good time to go there? November 15th is when Dikala opens, and Dikala is a must. So what you can do is you can spend few days in Bijrani before Dikala opens and then go to Dikala. So you can do Bijrani first and then Dikala. November and December both are good times to go. I would say end November is better because by that time the guides and everybody, they know where the sightings are. It's a very small raptor called a collared falconet. Collared falcon is one of the smallest raptors in the world. It's very rare to get a collared falconet flying and just stretching and opening its whole body because it's so fast that unless it's sitting, it's very hard to get it in midair. So one time it was just sitting there, and I thought, why not just wait for it to fly. It took a while, but then the whole wingspan opened and the body opened. This thing is not even 15 centimeters. Sunando Sen is a very good friend. Yes, I know who the person is. Yes, Chandrakant, yes. Here the toilet provisions are bad. Is it true? Austin, not anymore. They have renovated every single forest rest house in Corbett National Park. It's extremely good right now. You will take hot showers. Everything is fine. Just only last season everything's improved. You get other raptors also. You get a lesser fish owl, a fish eagle with a fish. You get an egret killed by a hawk eagle. You get Pallas fish eagle with a fish kill. This is winter shorts. It's all brown. Winter, most of the grass is brown. You get tawny fish owls also. The pairs, sometimes you even get 3 of them with a juvenile. All kinds of birds, You just have to keep an eye open, tell your target species to your tour operator. Everything can be arranged. You just have to know what you want, so do a bit of study before you go. Pallas, Khalij, Great Indian Hornbill, all kinds of birds are there. As I said, there were 500 species. Now I talk a bit about otters because otter photography is really good in Corbett because Ramganga is a wide open channel. On both sides, the otters are there in the mornings trying to fish. If you're in the right spot or you get told to be in the right spot and you have an interest for otters, you will get a lot of habitat, behavior, and close shots. This is just a typical morning. They have just fed themselves. They just clean their bodies in the water, and now they're rolling in the sand. You get moms, dads, young ones, playing ones, all kinds. This is a typical morning before they go for a fish kill. They are all scanning, and they all have a tense look. You try to get them at a lower angle to get more close to their kind of height. So that was the point of this. And it's winter. This all blue because obviously it's more dry in the winter. They do all kinds of fun things. They roll in the sand in front of you. They make these kind of gestures in front of you. All kinds of gestures are there. Sometimes they're very close to you and they're watching what they're very curious as well. They're ferocious, but they're also very curious. Sometimes you get them quite close, Then you also get gray wolf sometimes. It's rare, but sometimes you get it in water in Ramganga. So you just have to follow it and make sure you're at the right spot to photograph it in water. Even the hues from the winter makes even the common animals look grand. Again, this is the winter. The water moves much faster in winters because there's less requirement by the reservoir outflow. So there's a lot more water flowing. Then it's also known for yellow-throated martins. There are a lot of sites for yellow-throated martins. You just have to be lucky that you're at the right spot, and your tour leader knows where to take you. You get all kinds of far, close, all kinds of different ones. This is a typical Tarai tiger sighting that happens in the villages actually. And most of these farms around Corbett and Dudhwa, there are a lot of farmers who have moved from, Sikh community from the Pakistan when they got land allotted in Tarai region. Many times you will hear stories of the farmer walking straight in the morning, in the foggy morning in the winter, and the tiger will come right in front of you. This is a very common sighting I used to hear from my peers that, this is common in Tarai. So one day we were just parked and the tiger started walking towards us, so I remembered their story. Even during harsh light, you will see tigers, walking all over around Corbett. Sometimes when the safari is about to end, the movement of the tiger increases. Again, your own creativity, how you like it, what you want to photograph. It's a barren, winter tree, but it's still a marking tree for the tiger, so it's an important tree. There's more haze, more fog in the winters when they walk around in front of you. Winter will give you a lot of creativity as well as fog is concerned. You shoot mostly manual and you try to see what your theme is. I just wanted them quite close to each other. They don't know what's happening. They can't see. There might have been a call and now they don't know what to do. So everyone is frozen in time. Again, the Eagle deer are also frozen in time. One is 90 degrees to the other. They don't know whether to cross or not because you don't know where the tiger is. Many times the same track is taken by the elephant and the tiger. So this is actually, if you can see the shadow of the tiger, this is probably around 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the day. It's daytime and the tiger decides to go to the water and runs into the elephant. It's a very common sight there. This is my last slide here. I wanted to show you how typically sometimes the scene can be. There is a sambar deer looking at the elephant in the middle. The elephant on the right is looking at the tiger. And the tiger is looking at the elephant. So everyone, the prey is not looking at the predator is not looking at the prey. Everything is haphazard. But these kind of scenes sometimes happen. So that's what I wanted to show you as Corbett habitat and the animals from Corbett and the wildlife that is around Corbett. Libin?
Yeah. I
Would you like
think
to take a couple of minutes break before we go on to the bell?
if you're okay, we can continue.
Okay. I can, just give me a minute. Just give
Yeah.
me 30 seconds.
Yeah. If you have any questions, you can post it in the comment.
So Mr. Nanda Kumar, who's from Bangalore and I am from Punjab, we were friends for a while. We came out with a book that I had gathered together and he had published it. We became very good friends over a period of time. Nanda Kumar had started this company called Nature Extreme in Bangalore. I became a part of it. I'll just answer that question, Austin, in the end about Corbett. We were onto everything. I enjoyed wildlife. He enjoyed wildlife. He's a very well-known diver. I enjoy off-road adventure. We both go to culture and heritage tours. We were never too happy with the camera gear or the accessories that we were getting, because most of the big companies, they make camera gear only to cater to the masses. You have to adjust yourself to everything. You have to adjust the t-shirts to everything. You have to adjust the gloves to your own. It's never meant for wildlife. So we kept on thinking how to go about it, and I had already started a bag company which was known as one time as Wolf Pro. And we merged that company into a bigger group, and we made it into Natex.in or NatureExtreme.in as a website and online company. We make everything from camera bags to accessories, from apparel. You will see everything that I'll show you now. So basically, we have two directors. There's Mr. Nanda Kumar, who's my senior, and I am Sanjeet. He loves his underwater, and I love my snow leopard. So you can see he is in his water gear, and I am in my winter gear. We are based in Bangalore. So we make all kinds of items. Some of the items you can see. I used to run a company myself called Wolf Pro for about two and a half years. And when I joined Nanda Kumar, we brought our bags, our wildlife, and our underwater under one brand. This was our flagship model. Everything in this model is, from input by different photographers. There are many photographers, even from the Gulf, who have helped us with their feedback. We started with a small bag and then kept on getting feedback about everything that they need. Especially when you take it in the field, we figured out what all we need. And we incorporated everything that was the best in the world and tried to make a design that worked for everyone. Most of the times, a lot of the nature and wildlife photographers love to carry large telephotos. And to carry two large telephotos, not many camera bags can help you. We made a bag in a way that it was slightly flexible, so you could place all kinds of camera gear in it. But especially now that there are a lot of restrictions in flights, we made it a bag that you could carry in your cabin and not be disturbed by, worrying about carrying your checked baggage with big cameras. So this really helped in, carrying our large telephotos in the cabin. It also has if you look in the back, it also has a laptop compartment with a laptop pouch, so your laptop is safe. You can take out the laptop pouch and keep it on the side in case you want to use it during the flight. It has a lot of pockets. There are pockets all around it. There are pockets on the inside. All your batteries, all your filters, everything goes inside this bag. This is one-stop bag for all your wildlife needs. It's quite reasonable to the international brands. That's another important thing, because we want our own country to be able to afford a bag and not pay an arm and a leg to buy a bag from abroad. It also has these latches, so even if the zipper is open, you forgot to close one zip, the zip will, the latches will keep the camera gear from falling out. The way we have designed that it opens from the inside is because this becomes very space saving. So when you place it in a Jeep and you only have certain place to work and you can't open it from the outside in, inside out is much easier to open. We also made an option of not having a laptop compartment in the back because it makes it leaner, it makes it lighter.
I think we lost him, Libin.
Yeah, I think some connection issues.
instead of K9, it's called a K2 bag. It's smaller than a K9. It's, not everyone wants to carry a large telephoto. So if you're carrying 100, 400, even up to a 500, you carry a 500, 300, 100, 400, or a 200, 500, any of the smaller lens combinations. This is a smaller bag and a lighter bag for you instead of the large K9. So it has a, you can just look at the different parts of the bag, very similar to the other bag, but much smaller than the other bag. This will take up to a 500 mm as well. We also have a holster bag. A holster bag is, you can carry it wherever you like. You can carry a 2470 with a body combination. You can carry a 100, 400 or a 7200 with a body combination. It has a sling, it has a buckle. You can make it smaller, larger, easy to carry on the Jeep Safari. If you're carrying a large, long bag and you want your second body to be protected, this will work for you. We make all sorts of bean bags. We make, these are basically named after the three tiger cubs of Bandhavgarh, very famous B1, B2, and B3. B2 was one of the most famous tigers from Bandhavgarh. And at that time, I didn't have a bean bag when I started going there in 2008-9. So the first thing I made was, I made sure that I remembered those tiger cubs. So there are different sizes. These are, for your small lenses, for your bigger, heavier lenses, and for mix of both the lenses. So we have all the description on our website. If you read it, you will know exactly what bean bag you want. And if you have any questions, you can write to us and we'll be more than happy to help you out. We also make dry fit t-shirts, very subtle camo look to it, but they dry fit, they're super cool. Works very well in humid conditions. We also co-brand it for if people want to, get this kind of look and want it for their clubs. We make half-hand gloves. Many times when you go in very hot conditions, you need to protect against flies, bugs. Many people want a sensitive skin, they want to protect from sun. So we make these gloves as well. We make even thicker gloves so that many photographers like wearing bicycling gloves or gym gloves when they're going for photography because they need to put their hands on bare surfaces and they want to protect their palms. So we make those different gloves as well. All kinds of arm protector sleeves. These sleeves, depending on what is your fancy, you want to have different colors, all different colors available. Again, they protect you from bugs, sun, dust. In tiger reserve, generally in summer, you get a lot of flies attracting to your sweat. So these really help you to protect you from the sweat. We are making masks also. These masks also help protecting you in safaris also during dust. Also, especially in these times, they have a filter in it also. It's an anti-pollution filter. They're 3-layered and they really protect you and they cover you very nicely from the tip of your nose all the way down to your throat. They're not bad on your, they don't hurt your ears, they don't hurt your, they pull on your ears at all. Again, we make these as a client specific. If somebody wants to buy bulk, we'll change the look of the print. You can have it printed in your own organization, your club, whichever way you want. We can do bulk printing for you as well for these. But these are, we have tried many different samples for the last 2 months, but these came out to be the most effective and comfortable for us. We also make these sort of what you call as arc-type quick release plates or Wimberley plates. Many times it's happened to me as well where we, we are getting ready, we kept the plate in the bag, but we didn't attach it to the lens head. So the minute we get the lens out of the camera bag, we forget that, we forgot that we didn't put the plate on it. So if you have these reasonably priced plates on your lenses, that issue of ever forgetting that you didn't have the plate on the lens at the right time, that won't arise, so you will always be prepared. They're very sturdy, they've been tested. A lot of these are given with the rental equipment that many people make, so we have got a good feedback from them. The Allen key comes with it. You can use a typical screwdriver also to open it, so they're really comfortable to use. We also make rain and dust covers all the way from 7200, 2470, all the way up till 800 mm, 600 mm. They are water resistant. They are lab tested. They are very hot selling item because they work both as a rain cover and a dust cover. So either whether you are in a monsoon photographer, you are a summer photographer, especially also it works when you come for a snow leopard because you will always run into a bit of snow sometimes while you're waiting. So at least you have a protective cover over your camera. We also make these small video camera bags, or we also call them, carry-on bags. This fits in very easily in a small propeller place, like an ATR or a Bombardier. The one on this is an 800 mm that I carry. Generally carrying an 800 mm in a small plane is very difficult. So what I'll do is I'll put everything in my laptop bag, all my equipment, and carry the 800 in a small bag and slides right into the ATR cabin overhead luggage. So this really works out really well with the 600 and 800. While you are in a safari jeep, you can also put your smaller combination in this bag while you shoot with your bigger telephoto. So it's easy that you're happy that it's not rolling around anywhere. So it has outer pockets also that helps in carrying other accessories as well. We make larger bags as well. You can carry all kinds of your tripod and other photography equipment in it. Also, you can carry up to 500 mm with an open hood, or the 600 and 800 with a reversed hood. These really help you when you are in a safari, because now your camera is protected from dust and shaking. You also have the choice of when you put all your clothing in it and check it in while you carry your camera gear in your bag, and then when you reach your camp, you can take out all the stuff and use it as a camera bag. It has a locking mechanism also, so even if your stuff is in it, as your own clothes or your accessories, everything is safe. So we have made different sizes depending on the need. Some people want it to be kept open so they can just pull it out and shoot. So for them, we have another different length of the bag. This is my favorite combination. I just leave the cover open, and as soon as we get a sighting, just lift it up. And once I'm done, even if the Jeep has to move at any certain speed, I know my camera gear is safe. A lot of people who are into bird photography, they want to have a combination where their Gitzo and their gimbal are always kept together. They don't want it to be, kept out, or they don't want it to be unscrewed and kept somewhere. So we also have a very low profile bag. This one will help you in carrying the setup in a safe and secure way, and you know where your camera gear is, so it's organized. We also make laptop bags. This is the same color as the K9 or the K9 Lite. So sometimes what happens is you want to carry a combination of a K2 and a camera and a laptop bag. So in that combination, both the items are small. So you can, it's a really fluffy bag. You can put a lot of items in it. It's also good as a corporate gift, as a club gift. We can customize it for you for when you buy in bulk. Since it's a combination of the other fabrics, it just looks really nice as a combination. We are based in Bangalore. We have two websites. One is our tour site, which is the natureextreme.com, and then we have a back site, which is the natix.in. We also have our Facebook and Instagram pages, as mentioned here. We have been in this business now for over 5 years. We have been mainly been based in India. A lot of times we have inquiries from abroad. We've been serving them in India, and I wish we could, move away and go into international market as well. Because most of them will order with their friends, and then they will, have somebody pick it up for them. So that's our effort for our own Indian company as a wildlife and regular photography based equipment and accessories. Thank you, Levin.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjeev.
Thank you.
Before we go to QA session, can you enable your videos? So I will take a group shot as usual. So some more videos. Okay. Ready? One more. Ready? Okay, thank you. So let me enable the, one second. Okay, you can unmute yourself and you can ask questions.
There are a couple of questions there. This from Soul. I think it's just a remark saying, he's appreciating it. So thank you so much. And Jitta also, thank you so much.
For this photography products, you can order online or it's only?
Yes, they are on Amazon, they are on Flipkart. We have our own website, but it's not for international shipping. We are looking for somebody to join with in Gulf here.
Levin, I am already using bags,
Okay.
bags and t-shirts, bean bag, lot of things.
He's been a patron for a while now.
But dear friends, incidentally, what is happening is many of the people who call me for the bean bags or camera bags and other things, they give me a local contact either anywhere in India, and they will ask me to dispatch it to that address. So we will coordinate and dispatch it to that address. But now slowly what is happening is, for example, in Kenya, we have a friend who is importing some large volumes of bean bags and camera bags, and then very shortly we are going to come out with many more designs of three-dimensional perforated jersey material t-shirts, which is going to be launched before August end, so that it will be there for the thing. And very shortly, hopefully, we will have, with help of all of you friends, hopefully we will have one person who will take care of marketing in Middle East. So we are hopeful that we will have an agent there to do anything. We are looking for a business partner in Middle East. We have been talking to, I think, Levin, you know, Mr. Dilip?
Dilip.
Antikard?
Yeah, Dilip Antikard, yeah.
Okay.
Qatar.
So I was talking to him in March, but things were slowly materializing. But at the same time, what happened? Courtesy Corona, everything came back to zero.
Yeah.
So now I'll have to, because I do a lot of trips. He's a personal friend of mine. I do a lot of trips with him when he's in India or when he's in Kenya also.
Even Kenya, yeah.
That's it.
Okay. All the best and looking forward.
Thank you.
Just answering some of the questions that have come up. I'm just writing in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Satyanarayan. Thank you so much for the feedback on the accessories. And Mr. Austin asked for what's the best time to go at Winter, Jan, Feb, summer, May. So winter, you will get a lot more tiger shots. Summer, you'll get more elephant shots. So thank you, Chandrakant. Thank you. Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Srinivasan. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very
Thank
much, sir. It was a wonderful session. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I hope no other further questions. Okay, so thank you once again, Sanjit ji and Nandakumar ji. So we look forward for further sessions, and let's see. Even we hope to get your products in Muscat also soon.
That'd be exciting.
Yeah, and I think Biju, it's already planning for some trips for the snow Olympiad and the thing. Let's, inshallah, we'll hope to see you soon. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you
Okay,
so much.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.